of the public wards in Snug Cove and at Mount Gardner. It was approximately $18 to $22, Councillor Morris. And it was never...
different recollections.
It was never enacted, or it was enacted, but it was never acted upon because the finance officer always said, we've got enough money in the kitty to keep these things going. And now I understand from Captain Bob that, you know, just an inspection for the wharf in Snug Cove is going to be $15,000, and you may wish to consider how you're going to fund the ongoing maintenance and possible replacement of those facilities. But the Mount Gardner Wharf is a wonderful facility and it should be kept going. Thank you so much.
And just as a point of interest,
Yeah.
the contract has been let and it's supposed to be done this month, the month of September. Somebody has been hired to do that work.
Applause all around. Thank you.
But then parcel tax, we will take that under advisement, sir. Anyone else have?
Tim Rhodes?
This is going to be a little bit deja vu. Mayor and Council, I'm here to talk to the DK Harris Properties rezoning. In January 2016, at a committee of the whole, the Bowen Island Health Centre broached the subject of using a small portion of community lands for a health centre. The Society was not encouraged by Council's timing and looked for a partner elsewhere. Approximately 15 months ago, the Society, which is now the Bowen Island Health Centre Foundation, began discussions with DK Harris Properties Limited. An agreement was reached which will allow us to purchase strata title to the main floor of the proposed development at Village Drive and Dorman Road at the developer's cost as unfinished space and with no land cost. The value or benefit to the health centre is approximately $600,000, which effectively reduces the cost of the health centre project by 20%. The Health Centre Foundation fully supports the DK Harris Properties rezoning. It addresses health care and housing in an expedient manner at little cost to the municipality. Both health care and housing are identified as community priorities as recently as Saturday's Community Foundation Vital Conversations workshop. Council's approval this evening of the amendment and direction to staff to schedule a public hearing is critical to take advantage of DK Harris Properties' generosity and meet our goal of opening a Bowen Island Community Health Centre in the spring of 2019. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Anything else, Tyler?
Steve Thorner?
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
If the proposal from DK Harris is approved tonight, as is, then my comments are redundant, but perhaps I can just embellish them a little bit, if I may, at this time. As you can appreciate, circumstances in the housing market relative to the greater Vancouver area are changing quite rapidly. And I thought I would just add to what's before Council on some things that have happened as recently as in the last 2 weeks. We were approached by the health center, and I won't reiterate the history that Mr. Rhodes already provided, to provide them with dirt. And that is what we're doing. We're providing them with some $600,000 worth of dirt. As far as our contribution relative to the community, you could call that an amenity contribution. And whether that contribution goes to affordable housing or goes to the health clinic, I'll let Council decide which is really important, more important for this community at this time, to have a contribution to a medical clinic in terms of free dirt or in terms of contribution to another tax fund in our community. I would add that what you can anticipate has happened just in the last 2 weeks, we did not anticipate before that. We do now expect construction costs to go up much more than previously indicated. You had your own consultants here not more than a few weeks ago project the construction costs next year were going to rise by 6% in regards to your community center. I'm going to stick my neck out and say, as a result of what's been happening with various matters in North America in the last 2 weeks, I think they're going to go up more than that. You may have heard that the Forestry Council here in BC, as recently as a few days ago, reiterated that while there were no mill damage of any significance in our province, that the production levels were shut down materially for several weeks, and thus the timber finished product supply in the pipeline has been, let's say, diminished. Also, they announced that the impact on the fiber supply in our province to those mills has been significantly damaged. And so you can anticipate from that act alone what is going to happen to forest products going into the construction industry next year. I think we've also all seen significant damage done in the municipality of Houston and South Florida. That will put a significant demand on building products. And what you'll see is a shift from the Pacific Northwest state by state as those building supplies head for the south central United States and to Florida, which will again provide upward pressure on building supplies. As construction costs go up, the economics of this project get worse, which, as we've already discussed with council, is challenging at best. I tend to be a very optimistic person, but it gets worse. If you look at what's happened to interest rates, as recently last week, we know the Bank of Canada rate went up. But it's actually worse than that because mortgage rates are tied to 5-year Canada bond rates. And if you look at Canada bond rates at 5% at 5-year term, since June 1, they're up some 84 basis points or 0.8%. I think what you'll see is mortgage rates will increasingly go up. And we literally have a situation now where the interest on any mortgage to take out the construction loan could possibly exceed the operating income from this structure, which means you can't mortgage out the project, the return goes down. It's a two-edged sword because as those bank bonds rates go up, the alternative investment goes up, so the gap between the two projects, or the subsidy that our family would have to make to keep these rental projects alive, also goes up. The last thing that I would mention, so I don't overstay my welcome here, is that we indicated in our letter on May the 11th that we did expect some intervention with the new government into the housing market. That has now come to pass last week, where the Rental Tenancy Bureau came out with a suggested increase for next year, and the housing minister has already indicated she will probably intervene. I would just say this is increasingly a difficult project, and in order to get it into the community, both the health clinic and also the housing units, we're prepared to continue to agree to proposal we put before council. But I have to admit to everybody at council, the wave of economic reality is flowing against us. I sincerely hope you'll agree to support the proposal tonight. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Paul Huson?
Hi, everybody. You've had a long day. I'll try and be brief. It's going to get longer, I think. So I'm speaking to the community center resolutions tonight. There's 3 resolutions to push the project forward and to provide some funding and also commitment. So I think that we've been here before. I would say it's a sense of deja vu, but it's actually deja vu, deja vu, deja vu, deja vu. This municipal council chamber is an echo chamber. So it's time to stop this echo, and you know, all kidding aside, it's a pretty serious subject. So I would just say that it's really important to get behind this. I think that we have real commitment on the part of the council members that served on the committee. We have a team here who is very consultative. They've come up with, I mean, since 2008, when the last time we got to this exact moment here, they've come up with something far more modest that meets an incredible amount of our community's needs in a very, what I consider to be a Bowen-sized space, an affordable space. So what you have here is a team that's working together, and you have a team that's what this is going to take. This is not going to take, well, you know, provisional, we'll just push it to the next step. What this is going to take, it takes you enthusiastically getting behind this. And I believe we're at a real watershed moment here. You've made promises to us as your constituents. There's obligations, there's responsibilities that need to be met. and haven't been met for various reasons so far. So tonight is the moment to put that to rest, to get behind this thing. I've been hearing tonight that people read my letter that I wrote to specific members of council about my concerns in terms of design. And I have to say that before I came into that meeting, my concerns have been monumentally allayed. And since that meeting, I understand there was a meeting on the 24th of August, and I looked at the minutes of that meeting, and I see people that are hearing, that are willing to act. You look at the action items on that, on those minutes, it's pretty impressive and it's pretty inclusive. And I think that speaks to what we have here, is we have a team of people that can hear that we need something modest, that can hear this is the bottom line for a certain constituency. We are the last major constituencies whose needs have not been met. It's pretty hard to, see artificial turf fields and expanded grass fields and access to washrooms in the, on the weekends, and fire halls, they're all wonderful and absolutely necessary. Cove Common, fabulous. We're feeling like we've been at this for 20 years, and if we don't get it happening now, I don't think it'll be a long, hard road for everybody, because there was a resolution that promised us land, and so that does not go away. So, and our need for a community hall does not go away. So I would just like to really encourage you to pass these resolutions tonight. They're really, really important. I trust this team. I think we've got something good here, and I hope you also agree. Thank you all for your work, by the way.
Thanks,
Colleen O'Neill.
Mayor and Council, I'm speaking to the health component of the DK Harris Properties Initiative. There are many things you have to consider about the Harris Properties proposal, but I want to assure you that we are well on our way to raising the funds to see this initiative come to fruition. The fundraising campaign went into full swing in early August, and we have secured 30% of our goal of raising $2 million. We have spoken to 48 families to date, and the pledges we have secured are from just 6 families. There are another 10 families who have confirmed they will support this initiative for a significant amount of money, but have not declared a pledge at this point. This is after just 4 weeks of fundraising. We expect to reach our goal of raising 80% of the capital before Christmas. We will then go out to the community at large to get to our goal. We hope that Council will have faith in our capacity to achieve our fundraising goals in a timely fashion and bring accessible health care to Bowen Islanders. Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations.
That's great.
Thank
Boy,
you.
that's great.
Come in the front of the very.
My name is Anne Frandeferrière, and I live at 1425 West Side Road, and I came for the presentation.
I'm sorry.
Well, I was here this afternoon, you could have told me.
I'd forgotten,
Anyway.
we'd forgotten.
There was no sign. Anyway, so I'm taking this opportunity to express,
Well, you're here, why not chat for a while?
express
Okay.
my opinion regarding the community center. And I want to say that I read Paul Hosen's letter in the correspondence, so it shows that I read the agenda, which I can now read because I couldn't for a little while. Anyway, I had a quick look at the plans of the community center, and I have to say that I have been following this project from a distance from time to time. I was part of Dave Whitty charrette, and I followed more or less what was happening. Now, I have to say that Paul did some extensive research, and he came to our house for consultation with our neighbors who have been working for 35 years at the Queenie Theatre as stagehand and other things. Those people gave him some very extensive and important feedback about what is the bare minimum needed to build a functional small performance center. And I don't think that's what's happening on the drawings that you have shown. So, on top of it, we also have a professor of acoustic on the island, and that person should be involved to make sure that the performance center performs with a proper acoustic. So I think it is very important that that project keeps on going and that it should be approved, and it should be approved with no cutting of corners, and it should be performing the right thing, the right building for the right purpose. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll come back in October. Thank you.
Yes, yes, please do. You can do a presentation while you're there.
You're going for me?
Mayor and Council, thank you for hearing me tonight. I'm here to speak specifically about the rental housing crisis on Bowen, specifically in reference to the agenda item 8.2 DK Harris Properties rezoning application. As a business owner on Bowen Island for the last 5 years, I have witnessed firsthand the impact of the strengthening real estate market on our limited rental inventory on this island. As an example, my business revenues support the employment of 25 to 30 full and part-time hospitality workers throughout the year. Currently, my payroll has 14 names on it. 13 of the 14 are self-supporting individuals, 2 are single mothers, and all of them are renters. In the last few months, 3 have been served with eviction notices due to their rental homes being sold. 2 of those are those same single mothers. All 3 were born and raised and have lived on Bowen Island their entire lives. Only one has been able to secure housing for herself and her 2 young sons, albeit at double their previous rental rates. The other 2 are facing the reality that they may be forced to leave Bowen Island. This past tourist season was one of the busiest Bowen has ever been blessed with yet. Yet many of our most prominent and successful businesses were forced to limit their hours of operation and scale back on service due to lack of available workers. I personally was forced to shut down the kitchen at the golf course in the middle of the high season. The detriment here is not about lost profits, it's about the future of our service sector and one of our largest economic drivers, tourism. Ironically, there is no shortage of young people wanting to come to Bowen to live and work. I received many applications and inquiries, but had no ability to house any of them. Bowen Island is dealing with a housing crisis, and this crisis has only just begun. The effects are only beginning to be realized, and I can tell you that the long-term impact to our community will be felt by all of us. This is not just a difficult situation. This is potentially catastrophic to Bowen's economy and diversity as a unique island municipality. I urge Council to prioritize and streamline any and all development applications that propose affordable and family-friendly housing on Bowen Island, and I urge Council to do everything in their power to move housing rezoning applications forward without any encumbrances on developers who are bold enough to offer these projects to our community. Projects such as the ones before you by DK Harris Properties, the Grafton Lake Lands, Parkview Slopes need your urgent attention and cooperation for our community to remain a vibrant and sustainable economy. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all.
Okay. Moving right along. Consent agenda, anything, anybody want anything pulled?
Delegation.
Delegation after, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, yes.
I would like to pull 313.
313.
That's the improved service delivery task force.
Okay, pop that on at the end. Anything else?
3.4, just a quick word.
Is the bike park?
Bike park.
Okay.
311.
311 is the hydro pole test. Okay.
That's only not easy.
Can I ask a question before?
Sure, of course.
For 3.3, the letter regarding to logging, will that be circulated to council before it gets sent?
Can
on?
do, can do.
If so, then I won't pull it.
Sure, I'll send you a copy beforehand.
Yeah, just so we're all,
Sure.
just make sure that all the salient points are in there.
Sure. Okay. Anything else to be pulled? Okay, motion to approve the consent agenda, seconded, all in favor, passed unanimously. Next up, We have Daniel Heald. Welcome, sir. Please, tell us how we're going to get some affordable housing on Bowen.
Well, it's all in the, well, good evening, councillors and Mayor. It's all in that letter, really. I'm asking just for a project definition phase and some support from council to speak to staff, to speak to BC Housing, to speak to wherever we can explore the possibility of taking up the offer of Bob Turner of 10, 12 years ago for affordable housing on the community lands. Please help me.
Okay. Do we have you on the consent agenda?
No, but I can read the recommendation now. The
Before you
recommend.
read it, can I ask a question about the paragraph? So, I know we should authorize Daniel to speak with BC Housing, but I'm wondering if it shouldn't be worded the other way around, that we write to BC Housing to request that they meet with Daniel.
Sure.
Because I just having him phone him cold is probably not.
We'll give you an
Probably a good
introduction,
point,
sir.
yeah.
Wonderful.
Okay. So I'll let one of you read it now that it's
Let
gotten
Allison
complicated.
read that second
I'm
paragraph.
writing it now.
Daniel, let's spend, do you mind spending?
No,
just
no,
two or
please
three-
do.
Just spend 2 or 3 minutes just to enlighten the room on what you have shared with us in your letter.
Well, it'd be easier if I, it's in small print, but I believe the current housing situation is beyond critical. Glenn referred to it this evening. I struggle to see how our current choices as a community support us as a healthy community. I write to request your help in creating an affordable rental housing project adjacent to the proposed BC Housing project on the community lands. I envisage the project being managed by the Ruddy Potato, utilising the many professionals and skilled construction experts on the island. The accommodation created will be for all iron workers and retirees, not just for the Ruddy Potato. We would review everything that is part of it as possible in a project definition phase, so that's sewage, water, building costs, affordability of the units, the construction cost of the unit, and come up with see if we can come up with a package that we can work and similarly finance. And does the income from rent pay for it? And the type of units we would consider are really in 4 different styles: a 1-bed, a 2-bed, and a 3-bed, so that we cover single, couples, and families. And then the last unit, which is in the back of our heads, is a English as foreign language learners type combined unit, which could equally be appropriate for kids who want to move out of home and want to stay still working on the island, as we have a significant number of those two sort of taking need that time away from home before they go away to college and university.
Right.
So that would be I'm thinking around a 1,200 square feet, 4-bedroom, and then shared community public space for kitchen, bathroom, lounge.
Right.
A mini dorm.
Yeah, a university dorm, something.
Right.
So I hope I've sort of caught everything there, and it really is. Let's explore, see if we can make it work. And part of the team doing it will be Bob McGilvery, Alan McIntosh, and myself. And we'll draw upon the people, everyone on the island that we can do. And I quite like keeping that team small at the top to make sure we stay on track.
Maureen, yeah.
My question was about who you were working with, so I'm pleased to hear that you're working with Bob McGilvery.
Okay, so you want to read out that?
I will try to do Councillor Norris's writing here. That council authorized Daniel Heald to work with planning staff to identify community lands that have potential for an affordable rental housing project, and that council write to BC Housing requesting that they meet with Daniel Heald and discuss his proposed project and the feasibility of partnering with BC Housing.
That would be wonderful.
And I'll give that to Tyler.
Okay, can I have a motion?
Second.
Second. Is there any discussion before I call the question? Okay, all in favor? Yes. Okay, so that's passed unanimously.
Thank you.
So,
Have fun.
Good luck with it.
Good luck, yeah. Good luck.
We will do all we can to support you in it.
Having your support will help in approaching the funds side of that. Thanks very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Gary Ander.
I think the team is, I think the team's going to be presenting as well.
They could well be. I thank you, Mayor. Yeah, on behalf of the Community Center Projects Select Steering Committee, I would like to bring to council the 3 recommendations for your consideration. Also here are Drew Rose is here somewhere, the architect, and Sam Collins, yeah. So if we can go to them if you have any questions and that sort of thing. Historically, and I'm not going to belabor this because it's been going on and on for many years, this project is a culmination of visions and plans that well precede the infancy of the municipality. The community center remains not only the top priority for public amenities, but also a top priority on our strategic planning. The design team brought forward on July 24th a presentation of the schematic design, an inspiring portfolio of what our new community center could look like and function. Constant oversight and with the cost control. This step signifies the completion of Gate 2 commitments. The massing or required size of the particular elements of the project, analyzed requirements for the different components, civic, performance space, recreation, community, the siting of the community center, where it's going to go in relationship to the Cove and the school and a whole bunch of other things. The costing, they did a high-level quantity survey of every aspect of the construction, mechanical, the electrical, the foundation, the roofing, all that, to try to get a pretty good estimate of the cost, and we were within our budget of $10 million. This is a great start, and with your approval, and we can now move to refine mode and bring all these costs a lot more closer to reality, even though they are very close. I think they're plus or minus 15% or something.
Plus 25, negative 15.
Oh, okay. Negative, yeah. Plus 25, negative 15. And let's see with the, and then bring in like the sound elements, the light, all this sort of thing that's going to carry on. The initial community involvement, see in the minutes that from our last meeting that Sherry Ulrich, Paul Hewson, and John Reed are going to be invited into our next team meeting and project meeting, just because they have so much history with the community center, all the different projects that have gone on, just to see what their take is on it. And yeah, it goes right back to the old town hall days, eh, Paul? Yeah. Anyway, at Boatfest we had a soft launch at Boatfest, and to all accounts it was extremely positive. About 350 wandered through and were very enthusiastic. Of that, their written comments, 90% were very high when asked about the support level for the community center, so that's very encouraging. We're going to move into, if we get the approval, move into public info sessions and awareness, and that will all become paramount as we move forward. The fundraising, both public and private, will become the focus of the next gate, and if successful in our fundraising, to be successful in the fundraising, we need the confidence of council. We have to have a united front going forward to this, because also if we go to the government for money, they're going to want this project at a certain level, and if we haven't got it at a certain level, they're not going to be interested in funding it. So I think we have to carry on to gate 3. That would be my recommendations. With broad-based support, that's about it. That's about all I got.
Okay.
So, do you want me to read the recommendations?
Sure.
Yeah.
Did you want to speak to us before he?
I just have some questions. I can wait.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, on recommendation number 3,
Yes.
this one I've just got a question about, because it seems to, by saying that this is, the community center is the highest priority Bowen Island Municipality capital project for the purposes of grant applications, I just wonder about those words, highest priority. It seems to put it in a competitive kind of thing. We've got
You can
lots.
change the wording on that. What we're saying is that we want this to be the sort of the chief, as far as the fundraising, the staff time and stuff like that. We really want to focus on this and go after it in the morning.
In conversations, if you recall, with Pam Goldsmith-Jones and with Jordan Sturdy, the question that was always put to us was, what is your community's highest priority? And they were asking that in the framework of them providing support for our grant applications. So it was very specific wording that was required, for instance, in the case of the Cove Commons. And if we hadn't provided that wording, it made it difficult for the Cove Commons folks to put through the grant application to cultural spaces.
Okay, thank you, because I'm just looking at the other capital projects we've got on the books, including the water treatment plant and the fire hall emergency operations center, but now I get it, that this is,
They're pretty well funded now.
so maybe we can tweak the word. I just don't want anybody else in the community to go, whoa, are we falling off the table or whatever. I read it and had that
Yeah,
question, maybe others would too.
you're right.
So,
Might take a little wordsmithing.
yeah, I don't know what that would be though, having just heard the answer.
I think the concern here really is the affordable housing.
Yeah.
I think our
Yeah.
BC housing application is in fact our primary
But that-
application at this time. And it's already in and.
But that's not a cost factor for us.
That's not a grant application.
It's not a grant
Okay.
application.
This is our highest priority for purposes of government grant application.
Yeah.
And BC Housing is a partnering rate, but it's not a.
So why don't we put that word in front of grants, say government grant applications?
Or flip it around, go for the purposes of grant applications to the federal and provincial government, the council confirms that.
Yes.
That's better,
Okay.
thank
And
you.
then it puts it in
Yeah.
context.
Great.
Good.
With that switch around, I'm happy.
Okay, do you want to read them then, Gary?
Sure. Recommendations, number 1, the council accept the schematic design report presented at the community
Maybe the whole.
committee of the whole meeting on July 24, 2017, and the council approved the community center project proceeding to gate 3 at a cost not to exceed $157,000 as provided for in the 2017 financial plan. Number 2, the council authorized the community center fundraising subcommittee to spend up to $10,000 drawn from the community center fund to develop and initiate a fundraising strategy. And number 3, how did we do that?
For the purposes of grant applications to the federal and provincial government, council confirms that the proposed community center is the highest priority Bowen Island Municipality capital project.
Thank you, Allison. All right.
Made it a second. Is there any discussion before I call the question?
No.
Okay, all those in favor? Okay, so that is passed unanimously.
Someone sounds surprised.
Sorry, you guys can run for the
Was it not a good idea?
Yeah.
Should we revisit it?
Should we be rethinking that one? Hi, Emma. Emma, come on up.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here to introduce a development variance permit application for 1395 Eagle Cliff Road. This property is located on the east side of the island, just north of the historic Leben site. And this is a view of the property from the existing driveway facing east. There used to be a house that is now demolished, and there's still an existing garage. The proposed site for the replacement house is just south of the existing building area here, where there is currently extensive landscaping and footpaths. As mentioned before, the property to the south is the historic Cleveland site, so there is no development considered there. On the north side, there is a house that is located within the standard 30-meter setback to the sea. Just want to point out the setback that is shown here and in the written report is actually incorrect. Planning received an updated survey plan today that shows the existing setback is actually at 20.4 meters. That places the existing average setback at 25.2 meters. So that's just 1 meter further away from the sea than was shown in the report. This is a setback that the house can be built to without a variance. The applicant would like to request a reduction to the setback to the sea from the 25.2 average existing setback to 18.5 meters. This is to allow the proposed house to be sited closer to the sea and provide more room for a driveway extension, as well as minimize tree removal on the site, and also to increase sun exposure for solar energy and provide more room for drainage system. The application also included an environmental report that stated the most valuable environmental asset on this property were the mature second growth coniferous trees. This was a major supporting reason in the application for the variance. One of the chief reasons that they wanted to site the house closer to the sea was to allow more room for the driveway extension, which would help reduce the grades of the driveway. It's fairly steep right now at 27.